There we go. Hello there, everybody. It's Fran Carl here from Polish Your Pitch and www.franciscarl.com.au. I am thrilled to be sitting here with my very dear friend and colleague, Jean Bowra, and she's an expert in helping people deliver their best performance. We have a connection through community theatre. This poor woman directed me in a recent performance where I was singing in front of people for the first time in a long time. Jean has been involved in community theatre for quite a few years. We won't say how many, but we're quite a few years. So there's that basis that I'd like to talk to her about, but also Jean has been and currently is a lecturer in retired lecturer of in sociology, yes. And the one thing that we spoke about previously was when she had new students getting up to deliver a performance, some of the things that she was able to put into place for them that were practical and allowed them to then give a good performance. So this is where we're going to in this interview. So I'm now going to toss to Jean. And we can get some of those wonderful practical tips that she's been using, not only for her students, but also for the people she's rounded up in a lot of the community theatre and getting us heading in the right direction. Fabulous. Over to you, Jean.
All right, well, I'll start with university and working with students who have to give an oral presentation to other students in the room. Now, this is really difficult for all of us. To stand up and talk in front of your peers is quite daunting. The most important piece of information that I can give to anyone is be prepared. It sounds silly, but I say it to actors, I said it to my students. You need to learn your lines, you need to know what you're talking about, you need to be 100% organised. I can remember giving my very first lecture and how frightened I was. And, I think the given knowledge is that you prepare a speech and break it down into small notes, put them on a card or whatever and have it in front of you. Well, I'm sorry, but that's bull S.
She said bullshit.
What you do is write the whole speech out. Mm-hmm. You write it in size 18 font and you double space it and you put it on the lectern and you turn those pages as you give your speech because that's your crutch. You can look at it if you need to, and because it's in large font and it's there, you can pick up where you are straight away. And I have seen many students who were thankful that they had that crutch in front of them and could immediately refer to it.
Yeah.
Of course, as you get more experience, you need less and less of the crutch. But to start with, it's a really, really good way to start.
Sure.
The other thing you can do in that situation when you're lecturing or when you're talking in front of your peers in a university setting is adjust the lighting. Now, this sounds quite silly, but I went into the lecture hall and the first thing I did was dim all the lights in the room and put the spotlights on me so I couldn't see past the first row.
There was a method in her madness.
Yes. So
I wouldn't have thought of that, so thank you for that. Yes, okay.
It worked really well. And I also, because I've been an actor for many, many years, I went in thinking that I was an actor who'd been hired to deliver a lecture to a bunch of students because I was very, very nervous. The head of school, I was actually being assessed on my first lecture. And so I went in as an actor, I set the lights and I got through it without fainting or...
or gibbering or anything like that.
But I had done my preparation.
Sure.
I knew my topic. I knew what I was going to do. I'd rehearsed it and practiced it. That doesn't mean that I didn't feel like throwing up in a bucket before I walked in. And I think you need to be aware of this.
Yes.
Everybody is nervous.
Yes, that's right.
And I mean really nervous. I have actually worked with actors who throw up as soon as they walk off the stage, they throw up into a bucket. One gentleman, we had to have buckets either side of the stage. His nerves were so bad.
Ah.
Yet when he was on stage,
He was delivering.
that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. So,
Wow. Wow.
It's
Hadn't considered that. There was no buckets in the performance.
no,
Okay.
you all did very well. I think theatre is slightly different, especially community theatre.
Yes.
I mean, for professional actors, it's a job and it's totally different. But in community theatre, you're
Yep.
getting people. Like I'm about to direct a pantomime, and a lot of
I love pantos.
a lot of the people in it have never been on stage, and
Wow.
they don't know what to expect. So, preparing to face an audience in that instance,
Yep.
first of all, you need to learn a little bit about how to behave on stage, because once you learn correct stagecraft and you know which way to face,
Yes. Fran, turn around.
it's a lot easier.
Yeah.
And you can teach little techniques. I mean, we've all heard about imagine the audience is naked. I just have no interest in that at all. But
it would scare me rigid.
Oh,
Rigid with horror.
absolutely. My advice is don't look at the audience at all if it makes you nervous. Instead, you find 3 or 4 spots on the back wall and you move from one to the other and you just do it like that. And everyone in the room will think at some time you actually made eye contact with them, even though you didn't look at a single one of them.
Sliding past. Yes, great.
Yeah, I used to tell my students that. Yeah, just look at that back wall and pick 4 things, and that's your eyes must move from one to the other.
Okay. Yeah. Well, when I do the summary of this, Jean, I'll actually write those down. You know,
Okay.
find 4 points, etc., so that we're, once again, as I said, we're looking for the really practical
Yes.
tips, and I'll do a summary of those, because that's not one that I'd thought of before. So thank you for that.
Oh, that's quite all right.
Because I know that, as you've been saying, you know, when you're confronted with a whole bunch of people, there's that automatic, if you have a way that you can step past that and you're still delivering your, whether it's theatre or a lecture or, you know, a sales representation, so long as you have that another way of being able to present so that you look like you're getting it, you're faking it until you make it, that's terrific. That's really good.
Well, I actually remember the first time I really had to speak in front of other people. I was quite young. I was in my early 20s and I was running a children's home. And it was a church-owned home, only one street away, actually. And I was asked to go and give a presentation to the Ladies' Guild at the church about how the children were doing, because they were very interested. They raised a lot of money for the home. And I was so nervous that I was visibly shaking. And I realised I didn't have to stand up in front of these women. And this is another good piece of advice. You think of where you're speaking. I did not have to stand in front of them. I walked into the hall and said, could we please put all the chairs in a circle and we will all sit down. That immediately stopped my knees knocking together. And it was just my hands shaking. And then I had prepared a speech, but I was so nervous, I said, instead of me giving a practice speech, how about you ask me questions about the things you're interested in? As soon as they started that and asking me questions, I talked quite eloquently to each point.
Exactly.
So that really took pressure off, and there are a lot of instances where you can manipulate the surroundings to make it more comfortable for you.
And it's controlling not only your delivery, but controlling the environment
That's
that
exactly
you're delivering
right.
in. I mean, and if you have the capacity to do that, as you said,
Yes.
it is your presentation. There shouldn't be any sense of fear of taking that step, taking that approach. You had the opportunity. Let's all sit in a circle. Or I'd like to deliver it, you know, however you could make that work in maybe a sales presentation. I'd like to sit with everybody so that I can look at the slides as well. Whatever way that you could move that into something where you can control it more. Wow, that's just fantastic. Have you thought about that before? I haven't. Fantastic. Thank you, Jean.
Good.
Thank you.
I think standing in front of a group of people with nothing is probably the most frightening situation. What do
That's right.
Yeah, if you can get a lectern, or if you're at a sales presentation, if you can pull a chair out and lean your hands on the back of the chair, any sort of prop like that really helps with your confidence, makes you feel more secure, and stops the visible shaking of different body parts.
That's right. And the voice. Have
a glass of water handy at all times. Yes, yeah.
Exactly. So that, in my mind, in my creative mind, I can see maybe one of you out there is getting ready to present something for the first time. I'd like you to be able to take from this interview that Jean has given you a couple of points. You get your glass of water and you put it down beside you. Think about having whether it's the lectern, or think about having whether there's a chair that you could hold on to. Think about whether the arrangement of the room needs to be the way someone's told you it should be, or whether you want it to be something different. So that at each stage you are taking control, that you are taking charge of your performance. And whether it's as an actor,
spots on the wall.
Yes, spots on the wall. Whether it's as an actor or whatever way that you are presenting, it is a performance. Would you agree? I do. Would you agree? Jean does.
Every time you speak in public is a performance, and you tell your actors you need to inhabit the character and let go of yourself. Or you do exactly the same when you're public speaking. You become this person, either telling a yarn or giving a presentation. Step yourself out of it. Yes. Inhabit the moment of who you are at that moment.
Wow. Hey, this is exciting, isn't it? So there's a whole bunch of programs, pieces, performances that Jean's involved in, and I will attach the link when I work out how to do that. But in final comments, I'd just like to thank Jean so much for allowing me to come down and invade her home, her kitchen.
My pleasure.
And to me, as I've said, the whole point of all of these interviews is that the people that I'm speaking to have either been delivering a performance or helping people deliver performances for a very long time. And the things that they use to get over their fears are the very things that you can use. So once again, thank you so much, Jean. Jean Bowra, director extraordinaire, and we'll catch up very soon. Thanks so much for watching. Hope we've given you the very way to take your next confident step. Thanks so much. It's Fran Carl here from Polish Your Pitch, www.franciscarl.com.au. Thank you.